Climate change, global warming, the climate disaster. These are words all over the news these days, and they've been for a long time. So what do they all mean, and how do we know what we know? Let's take a closer look. We know human beings burn a lot of fossil fuels, like coal, oil, and natural gas. Just look around you. You can see it. When we burn those fuels, it puts something in the air, right? That's why your gas-burning car needs an exhaust pipe, and why coal plants need smokestacks. What it puts into the air is a gas called carbon dioxide. It's what we breathe out and what trees take in, but all the cars, trucks, trains, planes, factories, and power plants that burn these things put a whole lot more of it into the air than the planet can naturally reabsorb. So it's building up in the atmosphere fast. How do we know that? A scientist named Charles Keeling started measuring it on a remote mountain in Hawaii beginning in 1958. Here is what his measurements show. See how the graph is showing an increase. Those measurements have been confirmed all over the world, so we know it's happening everywhere. We also know carbon dioxide is a greenhouse gas. We've known that for over 100 years. And here's what that means. The Earth naturally reflects some sunlight back out into space. See this photograph of the Earth? You're looking at reflected sunlight. The Earth doesn't make any light of its own. See how the dark side is, well, dark? It's facing away from the sun, so there's no light to reflect. Now look at the day side again. Carbon dioxide traps enough of that reflected sunlight and the heat that comes along with it that the Earth is starting to warm up. How do we know that? Temperatures are going up in most places. We can measure that. Here is a 1979 NASA graph of surface temperatures that are warmer or cooler than normal for that area. If an area is yellow or red, the temperature is above average for that area. If it's blue or purple, it's below average. Now here's the one from 2020. Can you see the difference? We can feel it, too. Mountain glaciers like this one in Canada are melting back or disappearing. See where it was in 1908? Look where it is now. That's happening to glaciers all over the world. Huge ice sheets like this one in Greenland are melting back as well. Can you see the meltwater ponds on top? All of that is releasing water into the sea, causing sea levels to go up all over the world and causing changes to critical ocean currents. We can measure all that as well. Many areas that are naturally dry to begin with are getting drier as more water on the ground evaporates. That causes fires in places like the American West. Many areas that are naturally rainy are getting wetter, since the warm air can hold more moisture. We're seeing more frequent violent storms. We're seeing the temperature of the ocean rise, causing harm to species all around the world. It's not just ones that like the cold. Even tropical species like coral reef are dying off in many places because the water is too warm for them. Hasn't the Earth's climate always changed? Yes, but there are a few things that make this change different and dangerous. One is the speed of the change. When the last ice age melted back, it took over 10,000 years. That was more than enough time for most species to shift their ranges and adapt. Let's go back to those NASA graphs and look what we've done in just 40 years. It's happening too fast, and to plants and animals that are already stressed from so many other global changes humans have brought. When the last ice age ended, the water from melting ice sheets caused the coast to move inland by over 100 miles in some places. But ice age peoples were nomadic to begin with, so moving was no big deal. But now, according to U.S. government estimates, about 40% of Americans live near the coast, most in cities like New York, Boston, Miami, L.A., San Francisco, and New Orleans. That trend is true all over the world. Many of the world's major cities are coastal. Just a small amount of sea level rise would destroy population centers all over the world. How are we going to move all of those cities? Finally, remember that we are part of a system of living and non-living things that gives us the food we eat, the water we drink, the air we breathe, and many of the other things which we need to survive. Causing rapid, catastrophic changes to those systems is a bad idea for our own safety. So do what you can. Consume less. Drive less. Take public transportation or walk when you can. Use less power. Treat the earth like your life depends on it. Because it actually does.